it before we went big live.
You can only hear me, they say. Well, it could be the morning when I rug the show. Okay, let's try this.
Good.
Mute yourselves
wait.
here. You're gonna have to mute yourselves here and stream you through here. Let me know if that changes anything for you. Test check
Test,
1, 2.
Audio
William
check.
Watson.
How about
Can you hear
now?
me?
Can't even
now?
hear sound effects. That is
Criminal.
Gasp.
is absolutely wild. Whether you're listening in the morning, noon, or night, whether you're listening to the podcast or the TikTok live, we wish you a good now and hope that wherever you are, your candles are green. Give me some ABCs, boys.
No, they're still saying they can't hear anything.
Anything
Rugged
other
and
than
rigged. Oh, crisp and better. Wait. Come on, mummy,
mummy,
sort it out.
Let's just make this simple.
Okay, wait.
Looks-
Tori's saying yes. Okay, we got
saying,
yays. Oh,
we
you
fixed
fixed it.
I think it
hear
was
you.
just a rough connection. And so, just in case, let me say good now, revolutionaries, and welcome to the Rise Up Morning Show.
You get the double today.
Yeah, right. There it is.
I'll have to edit it for the podcast listeners because they're going to be like, oh my God, cannot believe it. Will, what were you going to say? Is that what you were going to say before we went big live?
Yeah, I was trying to save us
so
before
sorry.
we
I'm so
crashed
sorry.
immediately into what I imagine it was the tunnel of the show. Yeah, we're in the tunnel, guys. The show's here, but then turned out to just be like the painting of one by Wile E. Coyote. Yeah, before we slammed into a brick wall.
Man, I can barely contain myself. If you like Wile E. Coyote and you like brick wall, I have a great gift at the end of the show for you.
If you like brick wall.
Well, it's unrelated.
Okay, all right, I'm curious. Piqued my interest.
Piqued your interest. Good. Hopefully we've piqued your interest. If you're just scrolling through on TikTok or Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter, or you're catching the recording because you're here all the time, we welcome you, and we especially want to welcome those who are curious or skeptical about cryptocurrency. You're hearing a lot about it. You want to know what it really is and why it might matter to you, actually, personally. Nobody can seem to explain it to you, and you think it might be just speculative, but don't fret, don't sweat. We're here to help you draw some conclusions for yourself by starting with the basics, by helping you get inside the conversation that's happening around the technology that makes cryptocurrency possible. You don't have to be a highly technical person. You don't have to be rich or even interested in investing, though if you are, this is also a great place for you. We welcome you to the conversation. Leave your questions in the comments wherever you're listening and let us know how we can help you. In the meantime, I do want to issue a correction. Yesterday, we talked about that Zoom exploit. I couldn't remember the name after I said it once. It is called the Elusive Comet exploit. Elusive Comet. Say that 5 times fast and try to be a secret agent. Yes, and the correction is on the name, but also that there is an update. If you are a Zoom user, for now, Zoom has not issued an official patch. They are still gathering information with the help of teams like SEAL. I don't know what the acronym stands for. They're a security firm. And the solution is, if you're a Zoom user, you can keep yourself safe by turning off remote control sessions on Zoom. Just do a Google search about this. But if you missed the show yesterday, you didn't hear the recording, Zoom has a feature that is on by default that can allow people to send requests that, if granted, can install malware, exfiltrate data, steal your cryptocurrency right from your computer. You may not even notice it. And my friends, you don't want that to happen. It targeted a founder in the cryptocurrency space, and I've seen several other stories about it. We just wanted to keep you safe. But Elusive Comet, that is the name. It is not your Wi-Fi password. It is the name of the Zoom hack. So Google Elusive Comet, how to fix, and you'll be able to find it. Can you believe... We talked about this yesterday. We don't need to go over it, but can you guys really... I mean, like, who at Zoom was like, no. Keep it on by default. This is a great idea.
I know, it's insane.
I don't know. It's just weird.
I wonder if they were troubleshooting
unless
user
they had
issues.
a side business, with that side business being crime.
Well, do you remember Telegram had that too? Do you remember the Telegram defaulted to auto download attachments that people sent you
No,
any
I don't
setting.
remember that.
And
Yeah.
that was bonkers. There was a whole bunch of shit that got maliciously forced downloaded to people. You could literally just DM someone a virus and it was like forcibly downloaded on there. It was wild.
I gotta believe those are like holdovers from a developer-only environment. You know, where it's like they're fixing issues and they're like, oh, God, you just grant me control of your computer, and they're like, never mind, I'm just gonna turn this on by default. It'll be so much easier. And then they're like, oh wait, didn't see this one coming.
Back in my day, I used to choose my own viruses via LimeWire. At least I was given something. I was given some music with some scratch marks in it, usually with like some DJ throwing his name in the middle. You know, you'd be listening to like Ludacris, and then all of a sudden be like, DJ, do you? And you'd be like, what? That's great.
The LimeWire
and then it
version.
ruined your parents' computer because you didn't have your own. And then mom and dad were just like, technology is weird. And you're like, sure is.
Sure is.
Sure is.
We got a great question already on the TikTok chat from our pal Solom, who says, as a knuckle dragger, tell me what I can use crypto for in my business and in life. I'll go first very quickly to tell you, if you are a rise up mug buyer, a mug enjoyer, you might say, I've got your email address, and that's great because now we have sort of a relationship, but I am also going to issue every purchaser a token. I'm working on just compiling it all now, and I'm not administratively gifted. But the reason I want to give you a token, in addition to collecting your email or sharing a mug with you, is because if we have an on-chain connection, that is going to transcend email. Your wallet is like your new email address. It's like your home address, but on the internet. And for people who are maybe new to cryptocurrency, this is the piece of information that lets you use and own crypto directly. It's just a mathematical number that the distributed network that we call a blockchain, like on the Bitcoin network, uses to recognize members as distinct. Will has a unique key, a unique wallet address. I have one, Alex has one. We could have multiple wallets and all of them are going to have these unique addresses. And when I send a token to your unique address, I don't even need to know your name. The way it works now is like, you know, we're using Shopify, so I got your email in order to send you the mug, and then I'll send you a token. But in the future, where we're headed, like Alex sometimes says, we don't need no stinking roads. You are going to sign in with your wallet, and you will receive tokens to mark things like purchases. And now I have a direct one-to-one connection to your wallet. I can look up on any public blockchain where that token lives, all the people who hold it, and in a couple of clicks, for like pennies, I can directly send through tokens other kinds of messages to those people without even needing to know their name. Could you imagine if every person who dined at your restaurant or clicked on your website or was in your city that you could advertise to was just a click away? You didn't have to pay for an expensive direct mail campaign. You didn't have to pay for radio advertising. You could send, if you were Burger King, every McDonald's buyer a coupon for $5 off their next meal at your establishment instead. It will be a way for companies to see surprising connections across their audience, like that Nike customers happen to love Taylor Swift. How will they know it? Because they will see that there are a lot of Taylor Swift tokens in these wallets that also hold Nike tokens, and so on and so forth. I'm getting a little ahead of myself because a lot of that infrastructure is still kind of being built, and you can take advantage of it the way I am through like backdoor hackney stuff if you want to be an early adopter and experimenter. But I wanted to say that just to give you a preview of how really, even if you are, as Solom said, a knuckle dragger, this could be really impactful for you. Do you guys have other examples of right now in business and in life how we can use cryptocurrency?
Sure do.
Go
for
it.
business. Yeah. I wanted to address that question by Solomon too, because I think it's great. So obviously it depends on your business. If you are a B2C, a business to consumer, meaning you sell things to people, Evans is fantastic because you are going to have marketing campaigns. And as someone who worked in the marketing analytics space for 3 years specifically, I can tell you that can be very expensive depending on how many people you're trying to reach out to, right? So, but let's go business agnostic. Everyone charges, like, needs a form of payment, right? Credit cards are expensive. You don't think about it, but if you're a business, credit cards typically charge somewhere between a 1% to 3% fee. depending on the credit card. That's why you might go to some businesses and they're like, we don't accept American Express here. It's typically the most common one because it has the highest fee. And sometimes there's like a minimum fee, which is why you might see a business say like, hey, credit card charges have to be more than $5, right? Typically that's what you'll see. It's because of those fees, right? It cuts into the profit margin. So if you are a business and you have the payment option, you're obviously going to offer credit cards, but because everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people have credit cards. But if you can offer stablecoin on-chain payments, you are paying way less. You are not getting hit with those 2 to 3% credit card fees. You're just accepting money from someone who paid the gas to send it to you, or like the small fee. And now the gas fees are, I don't even think about it anymore, which is so different from 4 years ago. But you as a business are making an additional 1 to 3% just from accepting stablecoin payments, or whatever payments in whatever you like. I would imagine you'd want to do stablecoins. But I think that's something that every business around the world could start doing today and make an additional 1 to 3% in profit margin.
Great use case. Great example. Alex, do you have one to add as a cherry on top? Or, well, if you're feeling frisky, you can rug them and throw another.
I think stablecoins are the biggest one. It's just a better way to handle payments. And there's actually I actually highlighted this to talk about today. So we can go a little bit more into detail. I'll toss this old screen share up here for.
Toss this old screen share up and I'll get it ready. If you want to see the screen share and you're just listening to the audio only version, this is my time to tell you that our YouTube channel, just search the Rise Up Morning Show, hosts every episode as a video recording. The screen share is beautiful, like our faces. We'd hope to see you there. Go ahead, brother.
So actually, one of the very first live streams that I ever ran on TikTok, this is going back like 4 years ago now, was with a developer. I haven't talked to him in a long time, Sam. I don't know if he's still active, but he was talking about implementing smart contracts for payments to get rid of this whole like wait a week or 2 weeks to get your paycheck kind of a thing. The idea was like streaming payments via smart contract. So like as you start working, you basically just earn as you work. And because of the nature of on-chain transactions and whatnot, it's a lot easier to facilitate this kind of thing. And it was, this was years ago. It didn't really exist at the time, but it's starting to become more of a thing. And I actually just found this yesterday as I was drooling over DeFiLlama's new and improved homepage, which we'll also look at in a second because there's something else I want to point out there. But I think this is a super cool idea. This idea of basically streaming payments to people, streaming salaries to people or wages. Like as you sit there and work, you are earning money, which when you think about it, makes sense. You finish your day, you've been paid for the day. And you can fine tune these things to hourly, minutely, whatever, just like constant drip. I think between stablecoins, just making payments easier and better, fewer people involved in the, middle ground of transactions. There doesn't need to be a middle ground in transactions. It's kind of the core ethos of this whole thing. That's the first thing I think about. Doesn't need to be so many people involved.
Yeah. There are a lot of intermediaries right now involved. If you want to send money across the world using traditional in quotes, rails, let's say you use Western Union, they've got sort of a monopoly on the market, then not only do you have to pay them a fee, you might have to pay your bank a fee if you need to get cash to send. You might also experience that your friend on the receiving end has to pay some kind of fee. The country in between might take a tax or some other kind of cut. And they're also going to do a lot of other like invasive information gathering. They're going to verify your ID. They're going to make you tell them your address. It's really clunky and it takes a long time. And they might put a hold on it for an arbitrary reason. None of that. None of that with stablecoins.
The same. I did the math not that long ago, and it was astounding. The difference in efficiency from a cost perspective of running the same amount of remittance payments that Western Union processes on an annual basis via some high-speed, low-cost blockchain, basically any one of the, Solana, Avalanche, XRP, any of those higher, or lower transaction fee blockchains. And it was like it was above 90% more efficient and cheaper overall to run the same thing. Like the cost, you could completely eliminate that hyper predatory institution from needing to exist and just siphon money away from people for the sake of doing something that many other systems can do faster and exponentially cheaper and more secure with more transparency.
What do you guys think about this comment from Eddie, who says, though a dollar is a dollar, if I got paid in Bitcoin and it drops in price in 2 days' time, I've got less money. And yes, I know it can go up, but you get what I mean.
Yeah.
Can we clarify that what we're talking about here is something called a stablecoin, which is a cryptocurrency token that is pegged to the price of a government money, like dollars or euro. So it's as stable as those assets, but with the properties of cryptocurrency that make it better than government money, like the ability for me and Alex and Will or you or some stranger to send it directly to each other. Pretty cool.
Obviously you could get paid in Bitcoin, and if you keep comparing it to the dollar, then yeah, of course, price is volatile. One of those first steps in changing that idea or that mindset around, all currency must be equated to the dollar is the way that El Salvador made it a legal tender. You can get paid in Bitcoin. Stuff in a grocery store can cost a certain number of Satoshis, and that doesn't have to go up or down at any point. It can stay the same number of sats every day, which is the division of a Bitcoin. You can divide a Bitcoin into Satoshis, 100 million Satoshis per Bitcoin. Same basic principle as cents per dollar. It's harder to wrap your head around in the beginning, just because we think about all this kind of stuff as just a means to get more dollars.
Yeah,
that's really not the whole point.
Can we give another?
It's a feature.
Go ahead. You go.
Before we change that topic, I need to share my screen really quickly because I think this conversation is phenomenal, because we think about the dollar as like the end result that we want and not as a speculative asset. You know exactly what I'm going to show.
Great time to show what you're about to show.
Yes. So let me share my screen.
Let's see.
Hitting yes, hitting share. So in the past 70 days, this is the DXY. This is the US dollar index on the daily time frame. If you think the dollar is stable, well, since the start of the trade war, the dollar is down 11.14%. Just because it's the dollar doesn't mean that your dollar stays worth a dollar. The dollar in the past 70 days has lost 10 to 11% of its purchasing power. The dollar is also a speculative asset. There are some people who just trade between currencies, and that's how they make their living. There are people
those Forex folks.
Exclusive. Yes, exactly. So the dollar is a dollar. The Bitcoin is the Bitcoin. But they all have valuations going up and down, because how do you value that valuation? How do you value measurement of the worth of a dollar, the worth of a Bitcoin? You have to compare it to other stuff, right? That's all you do. So it just depends on what you're comparing it to.
Really good follow-up question for you.
So
does that decrease the value of our debt?
Yes, it does, technically. Inflation also decreases the value of your debt. So one strategy to actually solve the US debt is to print so much money that it actually becomes cheap because you've devalued your currency so much. However, a lot of other negative consequences there as well. But
another killer example of like stable coins. I said a second ago, the claim that they improve on money by adding a lot of other qualities that cryptocurrency makes possible. And I want to give another example of that for Eddie and anybody else here that Tori brings up, which is drip payments, sometimes known as streaming payments. Imagine that you were a landlord, or that you were a business owner who needed to collect payment for something in installments, like a landlord would collect payment for rent. What are the problems with that? Well, over time, there's a possibility that the person on the other end of that contract would choose not to pay. What are you going to do? How are you going to enforce that? You got to kick them out of the house, or take back the property or the asset that they purchased from you. You got to take them to court. You might have to spend more money, spend more time to resolve this issue and get the money that you need. What if instead that we relied on the technology that makes cryptocurrency possible to put information that represents the money, like a stablecoin, that can be used in all the ways dollars can, inside a computer program called a smart contract. And don't worry how we do that. Think of it like sending an email. You would just make an agreement with your renter or your purchaser, and they would send the information that represents money to this piece of computer code that can't be hijacked, broken into. It's not going to be, need to sleep. You don't have to pay it for its job the way you'd have to pay like your lawyer to do this for you or someone at the bank to do this for you. And without even needing to click, every second or every day or as often as you want, it drips or streams the money you are owed for the good they bought or for the rent that they are paying to you, trustlessly, errorlessly. And then if that person defaults on their rent or, sets fire to your apartment or whatever, it automatically transfers that money to you. If you are a bad landlord or you breach the contract for some reason, you fail to deliver the goods, then it takes the money and moves what's left back. This is called a smart contract. And it's something that, again, I want to emphasize, has never in the history of humanity and social contracts been possible to do with information that represents money. You can't do this with dollars. You cannot do it with gold. You can only do it with cryptocurrency. And it's absolutely going to be a game changer for people who have to do that kind of thing. Smart contracts is the term you need to know if you want to learn more about that. And stablecoins are such a great application. Drip payments, streamed payments. I think that's going to be a big time unlock for people who are, not necessarily into Bitcoin or speculation. That's a game changer.
So I want to point out a worthy comment here. I don't know about errorlessly. Computers do fail. So there's an important distinction to make here. 100%. At the hardware level, computers can fail. And it's important to note that what we're describing here is code. Code is code. Code can also fail if it's written poorly or if it is not built properly. And that is the entire process called debugging, is just finding problems with code and fixing it and rewriting it. My dad worked for a very long time basically just debugging. It's I feel like what he spent half of his life doing was just fixing bad code. So 100%. Very possible, can be screwed up, can be written purposely bad to be malicious, to cause problems or to swindle people or whatever. And that's why literacy in this sense is so important, and good audit tools and all this kind of stuff, just because honestly, it's one of the reasons we do this show. The ability to be swindled drops precipitously the higher your education is. The more you learn, the harder it is for you to be scammed and taken advantage of. Mm-hmm. And that goes for all things. So at the hardware level, for sure, computers can fail. But if my laptop breaks, the smart contract that Evan wrote that is connected to my wallet doesn't have to break. I can, new laptop fixes that problem. And then at the code level, this is why audits are important.
I would also like to point out that there's another reason why sometimes bad code is purposely written, and it is for job security. I've seen it happen at so many companies where people purposely code or set up IT infrastructures in a very spaghetti-like, non-streamlined way, and it becomes so expensive to fix it that they just go, cool, we have to keep this person around because they're the only person who knows how this whole thing is connected and works, and it creates job security. That's another thing that I see. I see it happen, not all the time, but I've seen it happen enough times where it was, you ran into it and you're like, okay, cool, great. This is a mess, and I know exactly why it's a mess.
That is so petty.
Looking at you, Morgan Stanley. They also do that. Well, actually, I don't know. I think I could get sued for saying that, so never mind.
I just love imagining the phone call, like the dramatic phone call 6 months after leaving the job because they weren't paying you enough, and being like, "What's the matter? The new guy couldn't fix it."
Don't come.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Well, I guess I could come back for $20,000 more or whatever. Mm-hmm. That's fantastic. That's absolutely fantastic. Go ahead.
If we're ready to pivot, we got a response in the Discord this morning when you asked if there was anything that we wanted to cover, and actually the suggestion was, of course, a good one, but perfectly coupled with the fact that I wanted to talk about the way that DeFiLlama has changed their layout.
Mm.
So we can kill two birds with one stone here. So the question was,
Lovely.
the question. There it is. Jesus.
Where?
All right. Love it if we could have a little conversation about yield farming, what it is. I was reading the How to DeFi PDF and was curious about the term and how it can be effectively implemented. Parentheses, accessing liquidity pools, staking protocols, which one to pick, and how to spot scams. So, huge topic. Right off the gate, yield farming is nothing specific. Yield farming is just kind of an aggregate term applied to all of the different ways inside of the crypto or finance space in general, where you can earn yield or earn a percentage interest on your money in some form or another. And there's a lot of different ways that you can do it. So the most simple, basic, nothing to do would be a savings account that pays you an interest. That is a yield. Yep. You are farming yield with that savings account. It's probably not great and you could do better, but that's what we're talking about here. And this includes staking, supplying and lending, collateral, liquidity pools, double-sided, single-sided staking, all these sorts of things. So just the term yield is covering everything that earns you an interest. So there's risks to be considered with every single thing that you can do inside of the yield farming space, which would often just be pulled out all the way to just being DeFi. And right here...
Are you sharing your screen?
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay. I was like, man, he is looking. He is looking.
Don't worry.
I can't see a damn thing.
Well, now I'm being rugged. I had my notes pulled up. There we go. Okay.
Do you need me to?
Nope, we're good.
Okay, great.
Song and dance time.
Yes, dance. All right, I am now going to actually share my screen. So this is the new homepage for DeFiLlama, and shout out, it's pretty sweet. They've made this
pretty sweet.
It's pretty sweet. Okay.
Pretty sweet.
So we've added a whole bunch of visuals here. So
Ooh, it's pretty.
First of all, yeah, right. Like we've added some immediate graphs to add DEX volume, fees paid by network, overall market cap tracker, stablecoin market cap tracker, RWA TVL. This one I would like to dig into more because I know there's a lot of issues with properly reporting and aggregating TVL for RWAs just because they're not all queryable. But this is interesting. Up significantly, according to this, over $11 billion total now. ETF inflows, and it was all sorts of stuff. So that was pretty sweet. The other thing that I was going to point out, I hadn't seen this before.
Yeah, I love the product advertisements. So
first of all, shout out to DeFiLlama for having so many products, all of which are free.
No
way. I don't know how they do it. Look at this thing. So this is
like Crypto Panic.
It's like Crypto Panic, but better. So, okay, you've got the news aggregator over here with a whole bunch of different stuff, and you can search by keyword here on the top, so you can siphon out things that you're not interested in. Important tweets, and it looks like they're not querying too many accounts yet, so there's really not a ton, but important tweets that have to do with whatever. Press releases, ticker prices. They have an unlock tab here. So upcoming token unlocks in how long, how much it's going to be, and what the current price of the asset is. Active poly market opens.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's so good.
And then they have a centralized exchange tracker over here to just log transactions above a certain threshold in and out of centralized exchanges, so you can just track money flows a little bit better. This is just feed.defilllama.com, and if you just go to defilllama.com, it's right there on the homepage. They have a little button right out to it right now, which is sick. So shout out to DeFiLlama for crushing it again, and still not charging me anything. I feel like I'm doing something wrong by not paying for this. Like, I would pay for this.
Alex, stop.
It's so good.
Stop. Don't do that. Don't put that in the universe. They're going to hear you.
Well, I think
They'll
they
be
make
like, guys, this tool is not sponsored by the Rise Up Morning Show, but it could be. And we'll be like,
It
wait,
could be.
did you just
wait.
Could be.
We've been got.
What? Yeah.
Okay,
It's been
so
had.
what I actually wanted to show you, that again, we would use DeFiLlama for. So over here on the sidebar, Evan, if you pan over a little teeny bit there,
Gotcha. Yeah. Wait for my focus
There
to
she
catch
goes.
up.
whole bunch of different things we can sort by and look through, but one is yields. So you can pull up the yields menu here. And as you can see, we are now searching through 15,203 pools over 464 different protocols on 104 different blockchains.
Only?
And this is, yeah, that's it. So you got some options. And this is everything. So the pool type, what asset are we looking at? What the name of the project that facilitates it, what blockchain it's on, how much TVL, their current interest rate, and then the average interest rate over the last month. So if you had USDC and you were interested in trying to figure out where the best place to get some interest on it is, you could search by USDC and then you could filter down by all sorts of different things here. But this is just going to give you a giant list of all of the different places that you can earn yield, interest, on your USDC, which is, of course, a dollar-backed stablecoin. So no need to even buy anything volatile to get started. You can just get some stablecoins and hop around and find who's got the best interest. So right now, it looks like...
Look at that wrap Bitcoin pool. This is a double pool. But that's something people always want to know is, how do I earn yield on my Bitcoin? And this would be a good play.
This would be, yeah. So as you step up the level of involvement and the risk, you can get out of, so like, for example, supplying USDC on Aave is literally that simple. It's just, you have USDC.
Is this saying wrapped Bitcoin USDC on Uniswap V3 is offering a 29.9% APY?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And of course, you'd want to check like historically what that is. It looks like there's kind of a spike and like maybe it's down lower than that, generally speaking. It also looks like, maybe there's a bonus APY or something. But average over the last 30 days is 22%.
Damn.
Yeah. So before we get to the double-sided, which would be something like that, it can be as simple as this first one here. Aave, which is a gigantic DeFi protocol, probably the biggest at this point by TVL overall. And all I'm doing there is basically like earning interest on a savings account. I have USDC, it's given to Aave, it's being supplied, and they're paying me an interest rate. Right now, the interest rate is relatively low. Just a couple months ago, I was earning like 9%, but with the markets being tumultuous and chaotic, lots of people have switched to stables and ported them over to Aave, and the fees the rewards are a little lower because there's a lot more people using it. So this kind of stuff fluctuates, but you can check the total history. And then as you go down farther and farther, there's just a whole bunch of different stuff you can do. So even on the single-sided thing, Morpho is offering a higher interest rate than Aave is right now, which is another totally fine protocol to use.
And Alex, as you move to double-sided, can you just really granularly, clearly, explicitly say single-sided, double-sided? What are you using those phrases to refer to?
Yeah, so in as simple terms as possible, when I'm only using one asset versus when I'm using more than one.
Okay, so I can lend multiple assets at the same time to earn like more yield. And what is it actually that like my assets are doing? Like, why are they paying me when I give them this? And am I giving them this? Do I still own these assets? Can you answer those questions for me too?
Yeah, so actually we can reference several things that we've already discussed on this particular stream. So yes, you do still own them. However, you're giving permission for certain things to be done with those assets or in the name of those assets to the protocol. So for example, when I'm supplying USDC to Aave, or when I'm staking my Polygon with Anchor, or when I'm staking my Solana with Marinade, I am sending those assets to be designated for a certain period of time to that protocol to be used for whatever they're doing. And it could be trading by providing liquidity. It could be committing an asset to the blockchain, which would be staking, to aid in validation and verification of transactions to keep the whole thing running, which would be like the equivalent of mining. It could also be collateral for loans, whole bunch of different stuff. And whatever you choose to do, they will pay you to do that thing. It's just as simple as I have money. I'm going to help a business do things with my money. And in return, I'm going to earn the interest for it. This is how banks make their money. You put your money in a bank for safekeeping, and the bank is using it all day, every day. They're fractionalizing it. They're sending it out. They're loaning it to all sorts of different people. They're making crazy interest to facilitate all those loans and financing that they offer to people. And in return, they give you like itty bitty little piece of it. But they keep the lion's share. And so the whole point of DeFi is to reduce that lion's share that the protocol is taking and make it a little bit more even and fair. So there's no real simple answer. It depends. There's a shitload of things that you can do. And if you explore any one of these options here for yield that we're looking at, you'll find a whole bunch of different things, whether you're talking about providing liquidity, single-sided staking, providing a single asset to stake, double-sided staking, providing more than one asset to earn a different kind of yield to facilitate a different kind of transaction on the back end, all these different things. This is a very deep rabbit hole, but the best place to start would be to take your ChatGPT research assistant that we've helped you train and just say, I'm interested in learning how to yield farm. I currently have this asset, and this asset. What kinds of things should I be learning about? And what are the top 15 jargon terms I'm going to need to know to research these protocols? Boom, done. You would get a great write-up out of that. Beautiful. So that is probably where I would start. And for an example, I actually ran that exact prompt over here. And I basically just said, we are interested in doing a segment on the Rise Up Morning Show about yield farming. Give me the broad overview of it as a concept. And it gives me, what is it? How it works? Why protocols offer yield? What you can earn, risks to cover, talking points for the segment, tools to highlight. It gives you some links. And the ones that it did, actually, I've heard of all of them except for one. I've never heard of Reaper Farm, but apparently it's a Phantom.
Yeah, it sounds like a Phantom play. The ghost theme, you know.
Anyway, there's a very deep rabbit hole.
Let's get into, for the degens, let's preview this WBTC thing and talk about pairs. Let's talk about the risks associated with staking or providing liquidity. And then I want to, after we close on this, before we pivot, I want to give people one more resource that they can use if this is something they want to go deeper or even just get started learning on. Sound good?
Sure. So I'll address some of the concerns or risks with staking. So with staking, there's one risk that doesn't really get executed too often of happening, something called slashing. Right, but this is something to be aware of. On a more, established blockchain like your Ethereum, your Solana, and the like, you probably typically don't really have to worry about this too much. On newer chains, something to worry about more. So what is slashing? When you stake, you're taking your tokens, your crypto, and you are putting it into a particular pool, staking pool, to earn interest on, right? And if the people who are running the validators, the things basically just like validating transactions, and those are the people who can then get rewarded, the staking rewards that goes into your pool, and you get given those rewards as well for supporting that pool. Slashing would be basically removing a certain percentage or all of the tokens in that liquidity pool if the validators were to act maliciously and try to attack the network. It's the carrot and the stick model to make sure that validators and people who are supporting the network are doing the right thing and not doing the wrong thing. So slashing is something that could happen to you if you vote against the network. Maybe you're running your own validator, or you are in a liquidity pool. Maybe you didn't even do anything, but your money is sitting in a pool that has validators who begin acting maliciously. Okay, we don't see slashing happen too often because why would you, right? Particularly for big platforms. So that's a risk. Another thing as well is if you are staking your tokens and you do so through a third-party decentralized application on chain, you are also trusting that that decentralized application has written their code correctly. There aren't any gaps. There aren't any holes there. There aren't any ways for someone to come in, act maliciously via hacking and the like, to go in and steal that money. Or if you are staking, something like, I always forget the name of it, damn. But there are a few environments where it's like, if you unstake, there's a 15% penalty. So make sure you stake forever. And then everyone goes in and stakes forever. And then the project just rug pulls all of that and runs away with the money, right? That's a risk for a newer platform. And the last risk I'll mention is more so just around staying mobile in the market. When you stake, there's typically some kind of a lockup period. That could be 2 days, 3 days, could be a week, could be 6 months, could be a year, could be 2 years, could be 3 years. It just depends. Everyone kind of has different setups, right? So be aware of whatever lockup period you're going into, because it might come to the point where you're like, oh man, it's really, maybe you're like, oh, I finally made life-changing amounts of money, or I'm really nervous about this market, I want to get out. And then you go to unstake and you realize you have to wait a week, or you still have 2 months left on your 6-month staking lockup period. And you're like, no. And then the market changes and you're in a worse position, right? So be aware of that as well from a time standpoint. And those are the risks with staking. Alex, can you think of anything else?
For staking specifically? No, I think you pretty much covered it. So in a nutshell, slashing is basically just a mechanism that the blockchain has to prevent laziness and malicious behavior. Because like Will was saying, if you fuck around, you'll find out and get slashed. And if you just don't participate, you will also get slashed. So being offline or having too much downtime, all that kind of stuff can lend to slashing risk. So it's possible. But again, I honestly can't remember the last time I saw a significant slash happen, because I mean, your reputation would be gone. If you were a staking service provider, you were a validator, and you let your pool get slashed because you weren't paying attention or you were screwing around, you'd be done. You'd be out of business. There's so many options. Like, why would you stick with the guy who got slashed?
Now, there are a lot of risks associated with other kinds of lending your assets. You might, for example, be staking or lending assets that are not very stable. There is sort of a balance over time in these yields where when a protocol needs a lot of an asset, maybe when you're providing liquidity or covering loans, people need dollars is a helpful thing to understand. If you live in South America, or I say South America generally, specifically, I mean, if you live in a country, listen, don't come for me, South America. It's my ethnocentrism showing through. I'm so sorry. If you live in a country anywhere in the world where there's a lot of inflation and you're like, man, I really could use dollars. That would be so great. If only I had a bank that would give me dollars. Well, with stablecoins, you can. Anybody with an internet connection can swap their currency for a stable coin like USDC. And these protocols, they will pay you an interest rate depending on how in demand the currency is. If there's a token that's really hot, fart coin, I don't know, Harry Potter, Sonic, Obama, Inu, you might see that there's an APY like 1,000%. Because people want to trade this token. When you are staking or lending, you are meeting the demand that these exchanges have. Their whole business model is they pay people like you a little bit of money to give them the right to use your assets to cover things like swaps on their platform. They make money when people pay a small transaction fee. That's how they make money, off the volume. The more volume, the more money they make. They incentivize you to help them by giving them your money to temporarily use. When they have enough of it, the APY goes down. And they need more of it, the APY goes up. And if you're in a particularly volatile asset, you might get in when the APY is really high. The price of the asset might fall, and you might not be able to unstake or take it out of a lending pool before the price goes down or before the APY goes down. And there are other risks associated with it too, like if the lending protocol is doing bad things, they don't have a good business model set up, then maybe your loan gets liquidated, or maybe they don't have good security. And the smart contract that they have deployed to keep your funds safe for you until you want them back gets compromised, and a hacker directs it to send them the money. Those are the other kinds of risks, and there are ways to look at it and mitigate it. I don't know if we want to get that deep, or if you can maybe give us on a dashboard like this, Alex, like you've got up for wrap Bitcoin and USDC. Maybe that's a good way to segue to how you would start to assess those risks. Because even this page looks like it's gotten a bit of an update since I looked here last on the old Llama.
I can wrap up. This is kind of a catch-all for assessing risk in general. So
beautiful.
The way you want to think about assessing risk with any of this stuff is to consider all of the ingredients in the recipe that you are cooking up to farm whatever yield you're looking at. So if we were to start with supplying USDC on Aave, I have two ingredients, USDC and Aave. My risks are that USDC depegs and that Aave goes under. They are both possible, but in crypto land, that's about as low risk as it gets. It's pretty hard to find anything that's lower risk than that inside of the DeFi world. As you add more ingredients to this recipe, your risk increases because there are more fail points. So when we talk about double siding, you are basically, think about it like buying stuff to put in your store. So you're widening your potential profit margin because there's more stuff to buy. So there you appeal to a larger base of customers, you can make more money. But if one of those assets suddenly becomes not desirable anymore, or it gets recalled or something, all of a sudden you're sitting on a supply that you paid for and the value of it has tanked. So your risk also increases.
And when Alex talks about double siding, you'll recognize DeFi opportunities that are this way because they'll be denoted as the name of two assets, like this pool that he's showing on the screen that says WBTC, USDC. That means that in this lending pool, people like us are contributing both wrapped Bitcoin and USDC. You can't just give one or the other the way you can in a single asset staking pool or a lending pool. You got to give both pairs. So you're exposing yourself to risk with each asset. There are some pools where you can contribute 3 or 4 assets. I saw a pool with like on one side it was a 3 stablecoin LP token. So like someone deposited 3 stablecoins in a pool, got LP tokens, which is like their receipt to get them back. And then on the other side, it was like a Bitcoin, ETH, something else LP token. So they had deposited Bitcoin, Ether, and something else into another pool and taken their receipt tokens, put them together and lent them out. That's like big time risk. We would call that like looping or extending.
Good luck.
I mean, seriously. Some people are into that though, and it can go deep.
It's an increasing gamble the farther and farther down that path you get. And you know, the easiest way to think about the risk, like I said, consider all the ingredients and what's the fail point of each of those ingredients. The more ingredients, the more fail points, the higher the risk. And then once you have that basic formula down, then it becomes a matter of auditing the actual ingredients themselves. So like, you know, providing USDC on Aave is the same thing as providing, I don't know, some other fringe stablecoin that's much smaller on some brand new protocol. Maybe you're getting more interest and technically your ingredients are the same, a stablecoin and a protocol, but you know, is, I don't know, Joe Swap more likely or less likely than Aave to go under if it has $20 million in TVL versus 40 billion. And, you know, it's brand new and all that kind of stuff. So maybe they're paying you a higher interest rate, whatever. That's another good little tidbit. Typically, the risk goes up with the interest rate. So if you're looking at something that's paying you an exorbitant interest rate, just assume that it's a little bit more risky than something paying you a lower interest rate. And you can kind of help scale that way.
So let's talk about this one then.
Yeah. So as you can see here, DeFiLlama actually has a little risk. So risk provided by exponential.fi, and you can pull up the full report and read it if you'd like to. So, you know, whole big deal. Very nicely put together.
Not every pool has that. That's cool.
No. So this kind of dashboard page here for this particular DeFi opportunity shows us basically all of the information that we would need to see at a snapshot. And actually something that's really nice is this little .csv feature over here. Evan, it's right next to the interest rate. Yeah. You can take these things and download the CSVs and send them to your AIs and, you know, use them for cataloging or tracking or comparing. If you wanted to compare 2 different options, you could download 2 different CSVs and send them to ChatGPT and ask it to run a comparison for you if you're not too sure what you're looking at. When in doubt, there is a way to make AI help you out with whatever it is that you're looking at that you're struggling to understand or trying to, because there's a lot here. It looks like a lot of gobbledygook if you haven't looked at this kind of thing. So over here we've got, let's see, what are we looking at? So we're looking at a comparison rate of the TVL for this particular protocol and the APY. You can see the APY is in pink. Over here changes quite drastically. And then the TVL obviously also, you know, here we are. Let's see, what's our time frame here? Okay, so this is like beginning of 2022 all the way up to here. So this looks like the entire length of history that this particular pool has been a thing. I mean, this is a pretty solid interest rate. Of course, what's your risk here? You are providing a stablecoin, USDC, low risk. It's a pretty solid stablecoin as far as stablecoins go. Bitcoin, okay. So as far as volatile cryptos go, is it volatile? Yes. Is it the most reliable out of all of them? Also, yes. So, you know, we're adding a little bit increased risk because of the volatility angle, but, you know, it is Bitcoin at the end of the day. We do have another fail point here that we're wrapping this Bitcoin. So that's another thing to consider, and another good jargon term to throw into the GPT to understand is wrapping. I do have a wrapping in 60 seconds video that kind of explains loosely what it is.
Does it start? Yeah. Oh,
it absolutely does.
Should. It absolutely doesn't. Father was not thrilled with that joke. I'm trying to explain to you something important, son. Be serious.
In general, wrapping can be thought of as putting your crypto in a costume so that it can go to a party it wasn't invited to. So if your Bitcoin is not supposed to be on the Ethereum blockchain, you can dress it up in Ethereum swag and send it over there. And now all of a sudden you can use your Bitcoin on Ethereum to do Ethereum things like farm yield, and you know, it works out. And there's all kinds of protocol. That's another rabbit hole for another day. But wrapping, token wrapping, bunch of different ways you can do it. Besides the point right now. Let's see what else we have on here. We've got an APY tracker, and then we just have links out to the things. So if you wanted to go straight out to Uniswap here, this is going to take us right to the app, and directly into the position open for this. So at this point, I would literally just connect a wallet and participate.
Yeah, and if you've never seen this screen before, this is maybe something to screenshot and get familiar with, because a lot of DeFi lending interfaces copy Uniswap. And I would recommend that's a great place to go. Uniswap or Aave, if you want to try this for yourself with like $5 or $10 to see how it works, because it can be difficult and a little intimidating to kind of figure it out. But you do it one time, the second time is easier, the third time is easier. Doing it on a new protocol is easier because a lot of them, they look very similar.
At any rate. So,
sorry. Go ahead and finish.
No, I was just gonna put a bow on top to say this is one example. There are hundreds of thousands. There was a lot that we just went over. There was a lot of jargon. There was a lot of different ingredients. There's a lot of different risks. There's all this kind of stuff. So quick shout out to the premium side of the Discord. I have everything that I just went over into one little chunk, and I will put the whole thing into a PDF and drop it to you guys for free today. And then it'll go in the download store for everybody else if you want to grab this one for a few bucks, or I don't know, whatever Evan charges. This
What do you mean whatever I charge? Listen, man. This is
it's not
you're the
us
boss.
charging you, it's Evan charging.
It's Evan.
Listen, pal.
This little money grubbing Evan, you know, this whole facade of money is like takes away our humanity and all that kind of stuff. It's all just fugazi.
That's right. And if you don't have the money for it and you really want the secret sauce, the thing
then
to
get
do
out of
is,
here.
is
Go
to-
scram. You poor, you cheap ass little bitch.
This is a gross misrepresentation of the facts.
If you don't want to shell out the money, you want to try it before you buy it, then really the thing to do is to try a premium membership trial. You can go to the riseupmorningshow.com, okay?
Sell that.
Look at this. You go to the riseupmorningshow.com. This is the page you'll see, and you'll get a little pop-up that says, do you want to try a premium trial? And if you say yes, you don't have to pay a darn thing. And for 7 days, you will get all of the PDF guides that Alex has written totally for free. And
that really is the hack.
Do
the free trial, download all the PDFs, cancel the trial, and there you go. Free
yeah,
PDFs.
Rug Me is an active
There
protest.
we go.
But honestly, you're going to want to stick around.
Active protest.
we get a lot of questions about what are the benefits, whatever. But the reason I brought this up is because I wanted to show you, we do these recordings. If you want to get started with everything Alex showed and you're not a premium member, you just like, listen, put the fries in the bag, bro, I would tell you to go to the riseupmorningshow.com, the courses and digital downloads tab, and look for this right here, how to DeFi. It says $49.99, but this is another reason to try the premium trial, because premium members get these classes at a discount and premium plus members get them at an even deeper discount. You'll save more than the cost of membership on this class. So it really is worth it. And then, you can cancel it and rug me. But if this is something you're interested in, I can't recommend it highly enough. And speaking of the Rise Up Premium membership, did you know you don't have to pay a darn thing? You don't have to sign up for crap to go over to the Rise Up Discord community and start hanging out with a global community of learners at all levels of experience, just like you. It's the best. You, my friend, are the absolute only thing that's missing. You can find the links to join and a tutorial if you're a little intimidated by Discord at theriseupmorningshow.com. Or if you're a pro, just head right to discord.gg/riseup. And let me give just one more really quick ask. This is not a commercial. It's a question. I need some clarification before we pivot topics. In our Discord recently, we put the poll to see how the much teased but as of yet unrevealed USDC to $2 merch should look. And
Yes.
I just got to know, okay? I just got to know. First of all, if you haven't given your opinion on this poll, go ahead and do it. I'm going to rug it a little bit and show you what we're looking at. We had a joke a couple days ago on the show. Alex made the point about how great stablecoins were.
Who's joking?
I mean,
dead serious.
he's not joking. He's dead serious. And the statement, the phrase was USDC to $2, and Will said put it on a t-shirt, and I said bet. But the question is, what should the t-shirts look like? And Alex, I wanted to let you know that this option that you seem to favor, the small text on the chest, USDC
I know
to
I'm
$2,
winning, Evan. I know I'm winning.
Listen, man, that's the runaway option. I have had some feedback that people would like it, as Will said, just a little bit bigger.
A little bit bigger, just a little bit bigger.
A little bit bigger.
Yeah,
So
scale it up
I just
10,
wanted to
15%.
say, if you haven't given your
Yes.
feedback, please make your voices heard. If you're listening to the podcast, jump in the Discord server, head to the announcements channel, and you'll see right here, we've got 51 votes. There's 2 days left. We are going to release a limited number of these bad boys. I see, you know me, I'm a big text maxi on my t-shirts. I like option number 2. I did not vote, but I really want everybody to participate because we want you to like these shirts. We want you to enjoy it. We might make some stickers, do a little limited run of merch. And maybe it's because I'm old now and I can't see.
I think it's because you have fond memories of the glory days of the Aero Pastel and American Eagle shirts that were just full coverage.
Maybe I was never that into those. If you can believe it, I have never bought a shirt at. I always thought it was Aeropostale. Is it Aeropostale?
Maybe it's Aero Pastel.
I have no idea. I was a PacSun and a Hot Topic kid.
I don't know. Mike Taylor
Me
makes
too.
all my
Me
clothes,
too.
so I don't know all these.
My
brand
God,
names.
you're such a douche.
Buck Taylor.
Buck Taylor.
My Taylor, Buck Taylor. Isn't that
I
what his
mean-
name was? Buck. What's his name? Buck
It's the name of a brand. It's called Buck Mason.
Buck Mason. Buck Mason, no relation to Buck Taylor.
And that's not my tailor. My tailor's name is Jane. But I don't spend that much money on clothing. Just suits. I spend good money on suits, which I now no longer wear because no.
Brother, you told me the other day that you spent 3 figures on 2 t-shirts.
On 2 t-shirts.
I didn't spend 3 figures. That is a mass misrepresentation
Don't
of
come
the
for me.
actual truth. We have
This
a
is like
sound for that.
$120.
No, it was $198 for 2
That's
t-shirts.
3 figures.
Oh wait, you're right. Never mind. I was in my head. I immediately went
Counting
to
is hard.
It's
Fact check yourself,
man,
brother.
It's tough, dude. It's tough. I have my accountant to do that.
He gets douchier with every sentence. ladies and gentlemen. It's a superpower.
It
Dude,
is super-
my t-shirts come in a plastic bag from Kroger, and they come in
I
packs
didn't
of
mean
6.
to spend $198 on 2 t-shirts. I thought I was going to spend $120 on 2 t-shirts, which is far more acceptable.
Oh, yes, of course, naturally.
Yeah,
Dude, literally all of my 100% of my t-shirts that are in my closet right now are either conference swag that I got for free at crypto conferences, or they came from Kroger.
nice.
You're a loser.
That was me. That just reminded me, like after spending way too much on clothing. I got some good deals afterwards though at Banana Republic. That's how I like to say it, Banana Republic.
Oh, I like
Banana
that too.
Republic.
For a second, I was like, "Ooh, that's an even fancier store I've
It's even
never heard
fancier
of."
store. No, Banana Republic. No, you just gotta say it like you're dumb, and which is way more
Who's
fun. And then I went to
happening right
Uniqlo and I picked up one shirt and I was like, "Oh, what are these shirts?" I was like, "Ew." I was like, "Ew." I touched the fabric and I was like, "No."
We have a comment that says,
from
Will,
yield
if you are
farming
adopting.
full tutorials to
Wait, I had an
Will's
actual question.
t-shirt budget.
I had an actual question.
Okay, go ahead.
I haven't done this research yet myself. Maybe you guys already know the answer to this. Maybe people in the chat know this. But the falling of the dollar over the past 70 days by 11%, and also potential fears of Trump somehow, some way actually being able to fire Jerome Powell, like that would cause the dollar to free fall in value. So do you guys know a place where I can go, where the people can go, where if I want a stable coin, but in a different currency, do you guys know where I can go?
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah, brother. Where are you going to go to look this up, Alex? Because I already know you got a tool coming.
All right.
Take your time, sweetheart.
God, that
was like a 12-second pause.
That was the sassiest I think I've ever heard ever.
Let the record show that I got exactly 2.6 seconds from Evan to pull up a foreign stablecoin aggregator.
I just need you to vamp a little bit, man. Come on.
Yeah, right.
Before
Gotta fill
getting
some
this out.
time.
On the inhale to say the sentence, Evan's like, "Dude, hurry up, bitch." Listen.
Faster.
Okay. There are not as many as I wish that there were. We're getting more, but the biggest ones would be stable euros and stable pounds. You can, I know that a number of exchanges offer these kinds of crypto.com. I know has stable euro options.
Yeah. Is this not like a CoinGecko research?
No, honestly, one of the places to go, Circle offers the euro EURC.
Circle does. Okay.
Yeah, Circle has a stable euro. So you can go straight off of that. It's a MiCA compliant redeemable stablecoin in euros. So you could just run a swap and swap USDC for EURC.
Hey, did you know that we've been saying MiCA wrong this whole time? I have
Mika.
heard many people from Europe say it,
Is
and
it
it's
Mika?
totally MiCA.
Yeah, it's Mika.
Okay.
We sounded like absolute Americans.
Well, we are.
Guess what?
In answer to your question, Evan, yes. If you go to, I'll pull up the old Gecko here. There is, actually, I'll show you from the beginning here. So here's CoinGecko's homepage. And these things change in order all the time, so bear with me as I find it. Okay, so we should be looking at the homepage. Up here under cryptocurrencies, you can sort by category, and there is a bunch. These are changing constantly. It depends what's trending. It depends what's doing well. There are all these different deals. Right down here in the number 8 slot as it stands, and the number 7 slot, we have two different. So we have actually they've got it separated out into 3. So we have USD stablecoins specifically, fiat backed in general, and then just other stablecoins. So if we went to fiat backed, this would probably be where we would find other options. Yes. So lots of US dollar.
I mean, I suppose I could just go to DAI too, but isn't DAI? I know it's an algorithmic stablecoin, but isn't it backed mostly by the US bonds?
Yeah,
largely.
it's mostly backed by bonds.
Yeah, some of the other ones though that's
it's
interesting.
Over-collateralized.
This is newer, but this one right here in spot number 249, this one, GHO. This is Aave's over-collateralized algorithmic stablecoin. I can't say one way or the other.
Yeah,
this is on my short list of one to buy and mess with because there's some cool farming options on Aave using it, but it's a little bit of a process.
Hey guys, there's the Terra Classic USD as well. That seems safe.
Hey, yeah,
Hey.
we'll send.
As you can see, the past 7 days, it's incredibly volatile.
The Terra Classic USD, 1 cent.
It's pumping to 1.3 cents.
It's just a casual and a balmy 99% down from where it's supposed to be. So that's a shit coin at this point.
Yeah, I know that DAI has done well, but like in terms of being able to stay pegged to a dollar for the most part. But in algorithmic stablecoin, I still just get the heebie-jeebies. I know that people are really working on them and fixing on them and all that kind of stuff.
There's the Euro Tether.
Yeah,
Euro Tether also. Okay, cool.
I mean, there's a bunch. Interestingly,
I'll probably just go to Circle and be like, can I swap these?
yeah, I would check, certainly.
Yeah, because I think it's a good idea to actually, if you have stable coins, like some in the dollar for sure, it's the world reserve currency. It's going to bounce at some point. But, you know, if something happens to Jerome Powell, you know, I think I'll go to the euro for my stable coin.
Here is your C. And drag it out. So
yeah, look, it's up against the dollar. Classic, as you would imagine.
Yeah, for the past, since February, it's just been in a steady climb against the dollar here. There we go. Week, month, 3 months. So pretty much just.
Let's see. If I had just swapped my USDC in, let's see, let's go to the beginning of March when the trade war started. We would have been at, let's see, basically $1.25
since the beginning of February.
Just by switching from dollars into euros, your purchasing power would have increased by 15%.
Honestly, I don't know why I didn't do that.
Yeah, because like, you know, it's like, oh, I'm in stable coins. Then like the thought kind of ends, but it's like, wait, no, these are still speculative assets, if you will. So that's the question I've been asking myself lately. It's like, even without something potentially happening to Jerome Powell or getting fired, I say potentially, but him getting fired, you know, we still have this trade war. Like the United States, we are trying to lower the purchasing power of the US dollar on purpose to make our manufacturing products more affordable on the open market. So like, yeah, the value of the US dollar is going to go down. So like, I should be going into stable euros. There should be more of a demand for that.
Yeah, seriously, I'm looking at this and I'm starting to question my life.
Tell me why.
So you're telling me USDC isn't going to $2? Is it going down?
No! That's why we got to get the shirts out.
Now we need a EURC.
We could do it. Let's do the
Well,
USDC
it actually
design
could
first.
get to $2.
It might go to $2.
We should do the USDC design and then cross it out for the second edition and put EURC underneath.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to be there before long if we keep this up. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh
Anyway,
gosh.
so appreciate that. Also, I think it's just a great conversation.
Yeah, no.
Shout out
for
to our friend Justin who said he got another Coinbase call yesterday. I wanted to touch on this theme really quick because we talked on this a few days ago about scams that you might start to see. That Coinbase scam is one that comes up again and again in our Discord, whether it's an email or a phone call. I don't know about you guys, but I have started to get the text messages from Coinbase who are trying to get you. They're trying to get some personal information. They want to send you a code. And man, it's always we're saying when we see it in the comments, Coinbase is never, ever going to do that. So shout out Justin for giving them the runaround on the phone so they couldn't call anybody else. That's a real service. Thank you for your work.
So there was a question that gives us one more opportunity to show one more way that you can use DeFiLlama to rely less on influencers in the future. So the question was about a protocol we've talked about quite a bit, Aerodrome. And if you are curious about thoughts on it, here's the best way to inform yourself. Let me throw this back up again.
Don't throw up.
Gross.
Gross. Okay.
Gross.
This is DeFiLlama for everybody who is listening along. We have done a lot.
Yep. Let's start at the beginning.
On
So
the Llama today.
if we are here from the homepage and we want to find information about a specific protocol, anything DeFi related, this is my #1 go-to place. If you guys couldn't tell, I'm a fan. So the easiest way for me to get to Aerodrome, just because I know that it's a Base ecosystem project, is just to pop over here to Base. This is pretty sweet. In addition to the visuals that they applied to the overview homepage, we have DEX volume, fees paid, and stablecoin market cap per ecosystem right there on the homepage, which is pretty sweet. Pop down here to protocol rankings. As you can see, Aerodrome is ranked #2 by TVL. Actually very close to being #1, pretty much neck and neck with Morpho. And then
previously it was
here.
#1.
It was, yes. So here you can get some really good basic information about this. And actually, I'll show you two things. So let me zoom in a little bit for you, Evan, over here. So here's the
thank you.
basic info block. TVL, total value locked. Not sure what that is. Hover over it. They have tooltips on everything now, which is awesome. Market cap, token price, fully diluted valuation, all this good stuff, including down here, a number you don't get to see too much in crypto. Annualized revenue. So Aerodrome, oopsies, just casually raking in an annualized revenue of $80 million, which is pretty sweet. This has also gotten better. Their last tweet was 19 hours ago, as now tracked, and you can pop right out here to the Twitter, right out here to the CoinGecko. So we've got some links there. Over here on the chart, so right here, what we're looking at is the USD, the dollar TVL. You could also swap over and look at the TVL in ETH. You can change what you're looking at here to toggle on all sorts of different things. So here now we can compare the market cap overall. You can overlay token price.
Swap
volume.
it back to dollars though, because you know.
So all of these different things that you can add. You can even chart developer commits on their GitHub. Fully diluted valuation, all this kind of stuff. Revenue. Toss on the old revenue chart. So pretty sweet. This would be my number one recommendation for where to come to begin to formulate my thoughts on something.
That's very cool. Can you? No, never mind. Where did you see that unlocks page? Was that because that was cool?
Yes.
That was a new feature, and I don't.
Okay,
Was that
so
on
first
the
of all,
feed?
there's two ways. Yeah, you can actually come down here. They have a full unlock overview now. So there's 219 different protocols, $1 billion in unlocks in the next 30 days, and you can see them down here with exactly what they're going to be. Some good little visuals about market cap, amount of token that is unlocked out of the total supply, and when the next event is, and then a countdown.
That's amazing.
There's also sorted by calendar here, so just a different visual representation of upcoming unlocks by protocol by day. Damn. But the quick feed, if you are over here from the main overview on just the homepage, click on this right down here, Llama feed, which is new, and this brings you over here, and they actually have an upcoming unlock tracker right here. So just a little tallying feed in order of who's first. So Celestia, Shadow, Trump, Safe, Velodrome, and how much that respective unlock is going to be for, and when it's going to be, and what the token price is doing. Amazing. Pretty sweet.
I'd want to see that if I was looking at Aerodrome or any DeFi protocol, for sure.
100%. Yep. All things that you would look up. And I'll end this by answering Wrong 2's question. How does DeFiLlama make money if they don't charge a subscription? They have several different services that you do have to pay to use. So they make money through the fees on Llama Swap. They run their own DEX aggregator, so you can swap directly there. Llama Pay is a payment streaming service that you can use for your business. Genuinely looking into it for us to see if it's a better option for like intaking stablecoins from anyone who pays us and dispersing it to ourselves. So they make fees there. And then they are also funded by donation. So if you get value out of it, you can donate to them, because all of this information is free, which blows my mind. So I have personally donated to DeFiLlama several times, and there's a page on their website where they have like all their donation addresses and all that good stuff. Honestly, I recommend it. They're doing God's work out here, guys, they don't charge any of us for it. It's wild.
Yeah. I want to answer this question too that asks, is Aerodrome still a good buy? Even though it's going down, it's getting great revenue. And I just want to say, this is such a nuanced question.
It really is.
Frankly, today, we don't have time to answer in completion. But I say that to tell you, we've got a really good discussion around this particular topic happening in Discord. There are people who bought a year ago. There are people who bought 6 months ago. Depending on what your price point is, what you plan to do with it, what your time frame is, the answer to that question is going to be totally different. And we had a really great talk in office hours last Friday with the premium folks. Our friend Moose Shaman was talking about how he's been accumulating for about a year. So he's bought it mostly at higher prices than it is now, but has been yield farming it to bring his average price down because he's earning free tokens, and has locked some of it up for 4 years and is using the other like half of his bag to speculate on. If in 4 years the price of the protocol goes up, great. But if not, he's earning interest on that portion in the meantime. If it goes up significantly in the short term, he can sell some of the free and clear aerodrome to recover his losses. It's a nuanced thing, and there's no one size fits all strategy. Will, do you have any thoughts on it that you would add? Because you're the guy who saw Arrow first. You picked it out of a cloud when it was just a little twinkle
right
in
when
its
it was
mama's
at
ine.
a little tiny 5-cent coin.
Yeah, you're in
Good old
profit the whole time.
Woof.
Yeah, 5 cents was nice. But 9 cents is where I bought it, though. But 5 cents is where I first started talking about it. Anywho's, the thing with Aerodrome, the only thing that I'll add here is well, I'm going to agree with Evan. Totally depends on what it is you're looking to try to do, right? What I would say is if you are really underwater and you've already decided, like, hey, I'm going to hold this for the long term, because Aerodrome has a high daily issuance, a high daily inflation of its supply, well, if you are not earning interest on that daily issuance of supply is just hurting you and hurting you and hurting you and hurting you and hurting you. So if you're like, hey, I'm underwater, I'm just going to hold this long term, whatever, I've made that decision, you should probably go stake it. You should probably go earn interest on it. Go stake it on the Aerodrome platform. So that way, the daily issuance of supply isn't just hurting you, it's being given to you. So it's not an extra added pain on top of potentially the price maybe still going down. So that's what I would say. Other things I would say from a speculative standpoint, when the market turns green, like, Base is still super popular. It's going to remain super popular because Coinbase is going to keep feeding it with people. And Aerodrome hasn't been listed on Binance, and Binance has started listing tokens on the Base exchange. So markets turn hot, it gets added on Binance, people start diving into it. It could have a very high likelihood of having a pretty quick rebound, right? But just that's all totally speculative. So that's all I'll add.
Beautiful.
I have to go in just a couple of minutes because I have a meeting at 9:30 and I need to just do a quick I need to change my setup and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, wait. Before you introduce the final topic, I have to tell you this before you go, which is that I happened to catch the episode of Rise Up After Dark where you introduced a familiar concept in a new way to our audience. And so, Will Watson, in your honor, today, we're not riding our dogs and ponies into the sunset. Today, my friends, as we gather our final thoughts and prepare to say goodbye to Will, we are going to ride our cats and cows into the sunrise.
Oh my god!
Into the sunrise, damn it! I was doing
great?
it. I was doing it to troll Evan, and he just judoed that right back into me. But
I loved it. I thought it was so great. I want you to say that from now on. It's the morning show, man, and we can back and forth it. But
our cats and cows into the sunrise.
I thought that was too good not to get a sound effect.
That was wonderful.
Please give us a final thought.
A final thought is I found another place that may be easier for us to swap into Euro stablecoins is you can do it right on Base. So I went on Circle's website to be like, oh, how does this work? And they just had the token address for Euro stables, EU, whatever the hell it is, EURC. EURC, it's right on Base. So I was like, oh, cool. So I took the token address, took it into the Coinbase wallet, which, by the way, was basically broken this morning. It's really not working well. But I then went onto Base. I found the token address for Euro stablecoins, and I was like, all right, sweet. I'm going to be finishing my current trade in Solana. I'm going to put that onto probably USDC Base within Coinbase, hop that on over into I'll probably pick a fresh Coinbase wallet and at least have some of my stable coins in euros as well, while I expect the dollar to potentially continue to fall and the euro to gain in that distance. So that, again, similar to Aerodrome's inflation of its supply, I don't want to get hurt by that. I don't want to get hurt by the new trade policies, weakening the dollar, which has fallen 11% over the past 70 days. So how do I mitigate that risk? Because at the end of the day, we are like, oh, let me get more dollars, let me get more of this. At the end of the day, what we care about is my purchasing power better or worse? Right? That's the real question to ask yourself. And if you're holding a fiat currency that's gone down 11% in 70 days and maybe looking to go down more, your purchasing power, it's not that stable, is it?
Well,
so yeah.
And it's worse all the time anyway, even if the value is not dropping precipitously compared to other fiat currencies.
Correct.
Because of inflation debasement.
Yes, but with that inflation debasement and earning a 4% to 8%, a year, through some kind of yield generation, you're doing pretty good. You're treading water there for the most part. But if you add an additional 11% fall because of, trade policy, how do you protect yourself from that? right? Because it's also getting inflated, you know? So you got to find ways. So anyway, I got to go. I'm going to go hop onto my small cat and ride into the sunrise.
That's right, baby. Cats and cows. One more time for you. Let me just give it to you on your way out the door so you can enjoy it.
Nice. See you guys.
Magical.
It is magical.
If you've got a final thought, a question, suggestion, a good joke, word of wisdom, or request for a sound effect, then let us know. This is your chance to say what you want to say, to jump into the Rise Up Discord at discord.gg/riseup. And don't forget, we're live Monday through Thursday, 7 a.m. Central Standard Time, and Wednesdays at 7 p.m. We would love, love, love to see you there. Tomorrow, Wednesday, we have got Brittany Kaiser, Cambridge Analytica whistleblower and current CSO of the Open Source AI Foundation, joining us for what I know is going to be a riveting conversation. We would absolutely love to have you there.
I do want to point out, that's really cool.
That's like a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah. This is someone who's spoken with, Julian Assange, someone who has been involved in a gigantic scandal and blew the whistle on it, which is a wild perspective to get that you don't often get to get. I mean, the robustness of her education is insane. It's vast. And the number of different things that she's been involved with. And then, of course, just at the data layer. I mean, we talk about it constantly. It seems like a boring topic, but all of this really comes down to data. And the biggest swindle in modern history certainly is the amount of data that you spend all day producing that gets stolen from you and sold for tremendous profit out from underneath you that you don't get to be involved in. And that's really what we're all doing here.
Yeah, well said. Couple of rapid fire questions for you. Alex, what's the best trading platform?
There's no good answer for that. It really depends what you're trying to trade. I tend to use decentralized exchanges whenever I can, so it depends what I'm going for. But between Uniswap and probably Radium/Jupiter, that's where I would say 95% of my trades happen. Really, the only thing I'm trading right now is swing trading Solana, which all just happens through whatever the cheapest, fastest route for me to do that is, typically Jupiter, Radium. If I'm looking to do, otherwise, Base, swap on Base, Aerodrome is a fine example. Uniswap also does Base, so you can use that one too. And then, if I'm on ramping, it's probably MoonPay for buying stablecoins. And then other than that, there's centralized exchanges and stuff too, but it really depends what you're trying to trade. There's no.
We also have a rapid fire joke. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
Bill says, my account was hacked. If anyone gets a message about canned meat from me, don't open it. It's spam.
Oh, God.
Oh, my gosh. That's fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, monsters and machines, people and creatures of all ages. Alex, unless you've got a final thought that's an absolute banger, I'm well met.
Nope. I will have the full PDF for my giant yield farming explanation available for free in the premium side of the Discord here in the next couple hours.
Great. And we've also got the USDC to $2 poll. It is live now in announcements. We have got the new Rise Up Morning Show mug at theriseupmorningshow.com for you to check out. And tomorrow, you definitely want to tune into the morning show because I'm going to debut a new segment that I am calling the Rise Up Rewind, because I just need an excuse to use my rewind sound effect. We're going to dip into the on-chain archives, step back into the past to understand what's happening in the present as we seek to build the future. We're going to talk about ICOs. If you haven't heard of them, it'll be a great topic for Web3 101 Wednesdays, especially if you're a beginner. We'd love to see you there. And hope that until then, friends, you stay safe, be well. Everybody,